Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out on this cold and snowy day. My name is Meghan Winegrad. I'm a social entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of Generopolis. Generopolis is an online marketplace where you can buy and sell just about anything, but instead of pocketing the cash like you might on a Facebook swap and sell or Craigslist or Etsy, you choose your favorite nonprofit to receive the proceeds. So let me tell you a little bit about the underpinnings of Generopolis and the problem that we're looking to solve. I'll bet you didn't know, or I hope maybe you do, that we are in a charitable giving crisis in America. We have been giving as a nation about 2% of US GDP for the past 50 years. So while GDP is growing slightly, it's relatively a fixed size pie in terms of cash giving that we are giving in this nation. To make matters worse, there has been an explosion in growth of nonprofits competing for those dollars. In fact, in Missouri alone, in the past 2 years, over 1,600 new nonprofits have been formed. So if you really think about that, a same-size pie being sliced in infinitely more ways, it's not a great outcome in terms of nonprofits getting the resources that they really need to do the good in the world that they intend to do. So when you dig into the data, there are some strategic opportunity areas that, if tapped in the right way, can get us moving in the right direction. The first one comes in the form of our millennials. There are about 75 million of them today in America. They represent our largest generation. They are the most socially conscious. Millennials in the back? Yes? Okay. Most socially conscious generation. But the problem is that they are the first generation in American history to go backwards in terms of earning. They make 20% less than their boomer parents. So highly socially invested, but don't have a lot of cash accessible to give in their budgets. On the other side of the equation, we have a little bit of the opposite effect. We have local businesses who are extremely wealthy. They make up 50% of GDP, but very much under index when it comes to giving. They only give about 5% of that total pie that I talked about. So the solution, of course, is Generopolis, and it has 3 very specific layers that, when pieced together, can create an ideal outcome for the giving ecosystem. So let's talk about the first layer, which is the experience of buying and selling. And really, the net effect is that by buying and selling goods and services, we are monetizing those and creating cash for nonprofits. But it's a net new source of cash that doesn't pull from that 2% fixed pie that we talked about. So let's say that you are a pie baker. You are an at-home baker, or you are a business, a bakery that sells pies. Generopolis will do exactly the same, regardless of which of those you are. So you bake pies, you would come to Generopolis and create a listing that looks just like this, titled, give your headline, what you want to call it, upload some pictures, describe the pies, when you're open, when you might deliver the pies, any specifications you have, and then you select your favorite nonprofit to receive the proceeds. Push it live on the Generopolis website, and then that link can be syndicated in your favorite social media channels. If you put it in Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, the listing is completely shoppable from within your newsfeed. When a buyer is interested, they simply click on your listing, whether they got it from the Generopolis homepage or from your social media feed. They use PayPal to create a safe and secure transaction with their credit cards. And then, best of all, once a quarter, Generopolis does the accounting true-up, and we distribute the proceeds to the nonprofits who have received the designation of beneficiary on the site. We retain a small commission for our admin and processing fees. The second layer of Generopolis is all about making giving transparent. So inside Generopolis, we have a profile that is very similar to other profiles you might have filled out. You tell us about yourself, but you tell us about your favorite cause. Most importantly, this is where the transparency part comes in, we have what we call the Give-O-Meter. The Give-O-Meter allows you to set your personal fundraising goal, again, whether you're a business user or an individual, and as you buy and sell on Generopolis, that Give-O-Meter goes up and tracks the dollars, and also shows the nonprofits to which you have contributed. Now the third layer of Generopolis coming at the end of this year, and it's all about making return on giving real. So this is an analytics or a toolkit package. It'll be a premium piece of Generopolis that, let's just say for a business user, you would be able to, if you have listed, let's say you're a restaurant and you've listed the chef's table on a Saturday night or a dinner on Generopolis. A month later, you might be able to follow up with those customers who purchased your items and offer a free appetizer for coming back in. That's just one example of how we can make business sense to those businesses who need a little bit more incentive to be giving. So, putting it all together, Generopolis really is the community that grows all pies, which is to say, solves for the pain points and the problems and the constraints of all three of these players in the giving ecosystem. First and foremost, Generopolis was built for nonprofits, so of course it has to solve the problem of constrained cash giving in America. So it opens up a net new source of cash flow that doesn't compete for that same 2%. It allows for powerful analytics that nonprofits don't have access to so that they can cultivate and grow their donors. And of course it creates this brand new productive hybrid model of volunteerism meets donation. On the millennial side, it allows them to have the type of connection and the hands-on connection that they so crave in this digital era with causes that they care about most. It gives them a much more powerful pocketbook so that they can vote with their dollars for causes that they care a lot about. And it gives them influencer status. They can syndicate how much they've been giving and what they've been giving on Generopolis all over social media, giving that great halo effect in terms of leadership. On the local businesses side, finally we are giving them incentives to give. We are making that return on giving real for them, allowing them to have credit in the community for the causes that they're serving, powerful analytics, and of course an ROI on their charitable gifts. So very quickly, a little bit about the adoption strategy. We are starting here in St. Louis. We've spent the last 9 months building the platform, and we'll be focusing on St. Louis as our first marketplace before moving to a national strategy. St. Louis just makes sense because we are, of course, every year one of the most charitable, philanthropic cities in the United States. Milestones and Tractions. We were founded in March of 2018. We've, as I just mentioned, spent about the last 9 months piloting the platform. Right now, we're focusing on adding nonprofit partners to the platform, and then we'll begin with our analytics package and expanding beyond 2020, or expanding beyond St. Louis in 2020. So, before I open up the floor, how can you all help today? A couple of things. As I mentioned, we're looking to add early adopter nonprofits to the platform. Now, it costs nothing for a nonprofit to be added to the platform, and eventually, we hope this will be totally hands-free fundraising, where somebody who is today maybe totally unaffiliated with a nonprofit might just suddenly decide they want to support them. They won't have to reach out to the nonprofit. They can just start fundraising for them on Generopolis. But while we're brand new, we need nonprofits who are willing to use their marketing channels to tell the story about Generopolis, how it works, and to really create campaigns using Generopolis. So I'm looking for about 20 to 30 here in Q1 to join Generopolis, join me in spreading the word about how this fundraising tool works. Second, I'm looking for early adopter businesses in St. Louis, business districts, who might together be really interested in benefiting local causes in their neighborhoods or coming together to support causes that they have a shared interest in. And then lastly, I'm looking for your tools and hacks on what are your favorite tools for low cost and DIY rapid customization. So a lot of these nonprofits I've been talking to, they want help in packaging Generopolis, but customizing campaigns. And of course, with the limited staff, that's hard to do without either a big budget or a lot of people. So I just wanted to get your ideas on the tools that you love using for your marketing, video, and things like that. So thanks a lot.
All right, and okay, we've got plenty of questions it seems like, so here we go, wait for the microphone.
Do you know what your cost per user acquisition is going to be to get normal people to come to the site and use it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the end of your question.
How much is it going to cost you to get users to actually use your site?
Honestly, I don't know that information yet. Beyond our pilots, we don't have users. We're just getting started. But I'll tell you a little bit about my strategy for keeping those costs low. In terms of using and leveraging the nonprofits to spread the word, they are the ones who already have their friends, fans, and networks. So by partnering closely with them, which is something that early indications say they are willing to do, that should keep my marketing costs close to zero.
I had a couple of questions. The first is Generopolis organized as a nonprofit itself? And, and secondly, no, go ahead. Answer that.
No, we are not a nonprofit. We are a for-profit business. We will eventually become a for-benefit business. We're right now an LLC.
Okay. All right. And have you thought about, for some of these, like for instance, customizing campaigns, it sounds like your site allows users to give services in exchange for data.
Absolutely.
Is that something that maybe that you give services in exchange for just register or give services to customize other people's campaigns via the site and have that register on their Kibble?
Good idea.
I have a question about marketing. So nonprofits generally don't have strong social media presence. They don't have strong marketing campaigns or even the know-how. Because a lot of times we're so busy either trying to personally fundraise or actually do the work. So I know that you're utilizing the nonprofits to kind of market what you're doing. You want to keep your marketing budget close to zero. How do you see kind of getting over that hump where all these nonprofits don't really do a good job of marketing themselves?
I would actually disagree with you. I think it depends on the nonprofit. Many of them are actually really great in one area or another. So maybe some don't do a great job with social media. Others do a bang-up job. It just really depends on the cause itself and kind of what it appeals to. So I definitely see a lot of potential in that, and it's true that maybe some don't. But I see very many that have extremely strong social media followings and really do an excellent job.
First of all, for the businesses who are donating, when you say the proceeds, are you talking about 100% of proceeds, or are you talking about a smaller percentage? Okay, so a restaurant wouldn't just say, we're here for you. They would say this particular dish or this particular dessert, and the proceeds go to somebody.
Okay, so let me explain how it might work.
Yeah.
It's Generopolis, I really see as a creative tool where restaurants can tinker, or where businesses can tinker with their offers. So for example, let's use the example of a restaurant. A restaurant might choose to do things that really don't cost them anything tangibly. So let's say it's a really popular restaurant that doesn't take reservations. Maybe they would put up something that says, skip the line and come right in. Right? So you get to the front of the line for a reservation. That would cost them nothing, and all of the proceeds would go to their nonprofit of choice. On the other hand, they might choose to offer...
Wait. Skip the lines. What proceeds? I mean, it doesn't cost you to make a reservation. Are you saying that if they offer a skip the line, that the whole dinner from that party goes to a charity?
No. I'm just trying to offer a little bit of a spectrum here. So let's say it is a restaurant, they don't take reservations, and they put a listing on Generopolis that says for $20 to Habitat for Humanity, you can come in at whatever time on Saturday night and skip the line and be seated. So that would cost them nothing to offer, but it might be a popular offering that people are willing to pay for, okay? On the other side of the spectrum, they might say, we will offer a 3-course dinner with desserts, and that's for 2 people, and it's $100, and that goes to Habitat for Humanity. That would cost them something, because it would cost the value of the food and the table and the server and all of that stuff, right? So they can tinker with the popularity of different types of offers and figure out what resonates with their audience and really what maximizes their particular ROI. And then, as I mentioned, the back-end analytics package that we'll be developing could also help them with those tools, understanding what offers are what offers are more exciting, what offers have better uptake, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it makes sense to, for example, get St. Patrick's Center on board and then hit every restaurant in Washington to donate
got
to
it.
them. Okay.
You got it. So that's another way that I see roping in nonprofits or allowing them to create a campaign is St. Patrick's Center, great example. We can put you on Generopolis. Here are 3 ways that you could bring in proceeds for your organization. You could go hit up your local businesses. You could start an online campaign only with your young board or your young friends and fans, and so on and so forth.
So I'm a baby boomer,
Hi.
and I noticed that your marketing was strictly for millennials. So I have a question: is that your target audience? Because if I'm a baby boomer and I see what you got, and you're only targeting millennials, then I would never use your service because I would feel offended. And if I look around the room, I see a third baby boomers, a third Gen X, and a third millennials. So you're losing 60% plus of your market.
Well, I will tell you that as a marketer coming from a legacy brand marketing background, the #1 rule of marketing is if you don't stand for something very specific, then you stand for nothing. So of course, no brand wants to offend anyone, but you have to be very specific and exclusive in what you're going after and targeted. So since Generopolis is brand new, is it possible that millennials will not be interested and that it will be a totally different market? Maybe, and I'll be keeping my eye on that. But it's important in marketing to target.
I had a question that's different. So one of the things that you have when you're giving to nonprofits is that you have to deduct the fair market value of the goods that you receive. Are you tracking that? And do you also help the nonprofits at the end of the year to distribute letters telling what the net giving was?
Very informed question. So yes, the short answer to all of that stuff is that's very much on our mind. So the question is, how is that best executed and delivered? The good news is that inside the profile of every single user, the buying and selling activity is captured. So you can pull up the history. The question as we move forward will be how to best package that and where those letters or deduction contribution letters need to come from. So it's a little bit more complicated, but that's on our minds, and we'll be making sure that that's built into the service.
Good morning. Great presentation. I really like it. A couple questions. One, during your discovery phase or competitive analysis, market research, did you discover a company called Group Raise? Okay. I would suggest that you look this company up. They're all over the country. The Techstars company, they're doing very well. They're based out of Houston, Texas. And then the second question would be, as a for-profit company, what is the percent or the admin fee that you take or your cut in order to grow your revenue?
Sure. The admin fee that we take is roughly 10%. It's a very low commission, and we intend to actually, as we move toward that analytics package, move away from the commission and toward a premium or a subscription type of thing. The 10% honestly isn't paying any bills, but it's enough to help offset some of the admin and processing fees.
Good job. Maybe I missed it in the presentation. When a customer connects with somebody who's selling something on the site, do they see what this person wants to donate the proceeds to?
Absolutely, yes.
So
you'll be able to shop by nonprofit, for example. You can click and shop by, I only want to support Habitat for Humanity, or you can shop by keyword search. I want to go out to dinner, I need a restaurant. Those types of ways to search, and absolutely it's always visible who the beneficiary is of that item or service.
Really like the presentation, really like the product. I just wanted to speak to kind of two things. One, to Mary's point about kind of partial giving. As a millennial who's making 20% less than my boomer friends, The ability to put a part of, for me running workshops, part of an event ticket to a nonprofit would make me far more likely to use the platform. So if I could donate half of all ticket proceeds, that would make it a lot easier for me to still have an income. The other side of it, the question that I've got is more about, as a for-profit entity, are you taking the tax deduction like Amazon does when I do Amazon Smile, or is that being passed on to me, the business?
Sure, let me tackle both of those. So the first one about partial. In doing some research, that absolutely came up. Can we do a sliding scale? There are markets in the past that I've looked at, and anytime there was a sliding scale, it just got moved to 0. So the thought process, and really the name behind Generopolis, is this is about generosity. And there is real upside from a marketing perspective if you are someone who makes stuff, or if you are someone who is a service provider, for you to be able to say that you are offering that thing on Generopolis and syndicate that all over your social media, splash with your favorite nonprofit attached to it, I think offers a real incentive to show not only your generosity and commitment to the community, but to drive trial. Where people feel good, maybe that's the last thing that gets them over the hump of trying something that I'm not so sure if you really are a great coder, but since it's a good cause, I'll pay the $100 and see how it goes. So I think that notion, I hope, is very motivating. And then the other question, I've already forgotten.
Tax deduction.
Tax.
Taking that as the
Generopolis does not take that. We basically act as an escrow. And so back to the earlier question here about will we be providing letters that you would typically receive if you give a cash donation, we will have an infrastructure in place where you can deduct the underlying value of goods that you sell on Generopolis. Just a note, services are never tax deductible except for if you use actual physical items. In the processing of those services, those items are tax deductible. So Generopolis will follow that same template.
I see you as a value-added benefit to an organization, to a seller of a service or a product that can be communicated out to their client base that my widget is enhanced as a unique selling proposition. It's better because we also have this giving component attached to it. Is that part of your marketing? That you're enabling sellers of whatever to add value to their process because there's a giving component to it?
Yeah, I think you're starting to tap into all of the different creative ways that people might use it, So that's totally a possibility. And to be honest, in these early days, I will be looking with these new nonprofits these early adopter nonprofits, I'll be watching and working with them to understand not only how are they communicating and getting uptake and response, but how are their friends and fans using it? So there are a lot of different possible marketing messages that we will be trying. That is a possibility of one of them.
I have names and email contacts for a couple nonprofits. Could I just give those to you later?
Fantastic, yes. And to the first thing about connecting me with early adopter nonprofits, after this presentation, I'd love to talk to anyone who has ideas.
Hey, great presentation. Sounds a little bit like we're kind of having like some Groupon-y type deals for millennials, if that makes sense. That's kind of a interesting model. Certainly works for then the people buying those deals. Obviously, Groupon didn't quite have ROI for their businesses. So the question is, what businesses exactly are you targeting right now to partner and be on this, as well as, can you talk a little more about what exactly they're getting out of it other than donating and the social good?
Sure. So businesses, right now the way that we are in conversations with them, two different models. One is the one Mary talked about, where there's a nonprofit who's deeply entrenched in a particular community, and so they're engaging their local businesses to create offerings that can go on Generopolis. Businesses really like the notion of being able to streamline everything through the platform, because instead of getting hit up all the time like they are for every local auction or gala, and then value walks out the door in the form of a gift card or a gift package or whatever it is, they never see it again, they don't know who bought it, they don't know who's redeeming it. The notion of having all that organized, and they don't get credit for it except for maybe some poster in the corner at the gala, right? Generopolis makes it all transparent for them. So now they can have that give-a-meter that shows how much they've given into which nonprofits. They like that notion. They also like the notion of having that back-end toolbox that can allow them to tweak and tinker with not only their offerings, but maybe serve up secondary offers like I talked about. So local businesses in general are motivated by those thoughts. So nonprofits can help with some of that early education and adoption by engaging their local communities and talking about the value proposition of driving Generopolis, not just for a point in time in a single auction or a single gala, but hey, support me through the whole year on the business cycles that make sense for your business. When are your highs, when are your lows, what do you need to boost, that kind of thing. So that's one strategy. The other possible strategy that we're looking at are communities that are really tightly knit. So for example, the Cherokee Street business community or the downtown Kirkwood business community, who all the business owners know each other through local Facebook groups and often think about ways to improve their community. How could they rally, gather together, and create a presence together on Generopolis?
What businesses are you targeting? Just any businesses? Or?
Right, so that could be any businesses. Businesses that are ideally part of a tightly knit community that are either rallied around specific nonprofits or just are tightly knit because they all are on the same street or whatever. But local businesses.
I guess I would also just say one last thing is maybe you need to think about how if you are going to more target millennials, the businesses will probably need to target primarily millennials focused as well. And if you're going to connect the two of those, you probably have to have that sort of same strong brand that you were talking about.
Yes, thank you.
Fabulous job. It's great to see your traction and your progress this past year. Definitely let's talk more because, we're a nonprofit and we also
we need some money.
Like to champion our company. So, and being an I-10 company, we definitely want to be part of your journey. So definitely let's talk more about that. I missed the beginning, so I'm not sure exactly when you used the trigger word millennial, but it is sometimes trigger word, somebody's safe word sometimes. But and I totally agree that you have to target your marketing, but you can speak code word for millennial, by talking about the changing nature of giving. And I, as a Gen Xer, can connect to that because I don't want people to think I'm younger than I am. I don't know. Whatever is driving me, if I don't feel down will slide into 50 right now. Picking up speed. So that you can sort of not use the words that get.
Well, let's be clear. Nowhere in any of my marketing does it say millennial.
Click here.
Okay?
Millennial.
It's really about what is the language that we use. Is it millennial approved?
Right.
And what's our look and feel and what's our tone and all of that stuff. So nowhere are we saying Generopolis is for millennials.
Right. And do you know Ryan Reynolds from Latitude? He still lives in the same space as far as platforms that serve a similar market. So definitely be connecting to him and just picking each other's brains. I know he's on our new platform and he reaches people. So I don't think
that mic's on.
But it felt powerful.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm
It's working now.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions? Okay, so I've one, I'll take the last question. You've already said what your community do for you. What is this is going to sound so conspiratorial here, how are you going to compete against United Way, which is like this giant behemoth which sucks in billions of charity dollars and might not necessarily do the best job with it? How are you going?
Or United Way.
I'm just saying based on some people I know who are embedded in that sort of community. How are you going to find a niche with when there's a million different charities, but there's also some of the behemoths. And do you see that you're ever even going to show up on their radar or anything like that? The big ones, or do you just want to stay with small charities?
Okay, so the first thing I want to address is the word compete.
Okay.
I don't see Generopolis as competing with any form of today's donation dollars. I see it as being additive and totally incremental. So when I talked about that fixed pie of 2%, that is cash giving that you give to a charity and you expect nothing in return. And that's the part that's totally constrained today. that has not grown in 50 years except for the incremental increases in GDP, okay? So Generopolis really started with the foundation of we need to get beyond 2%, we need to keep that 2%, and we need to get beyond it. So the act of now monetizing goods and services for people who don't have cash or who are tapped out and they've already given the part out of their donation budget, that's what Generopolis really offers. So we're a partner to every nonprofit, the behemoths included. In fact, that's a strategic part, is inside our St. Louis landscape. Yes, we want to help any nonprofit. Generopolis is essentially a democracy. People are going to be working for causes they care about, monetizing their stuff and their services. So any nonprofit who can rally their friends and fans to donate their goods and services, by all means, we can support that. But we also see the ones who have local chapters but are part of national networks as a key part of the expansion strategy. So engaging both the United Way and their affiliates in the same way that we would engage a non-United Way.
All right, great answer on both. Okay. Well, thank you very much.